welcome! We are back with Oshinoko Season 2, Episode 1. I am so excited to jump into this today. Hi, if you're new to this channel, I'm Gent. I do lots of different reaction videos to lots of different anime, TV shows, movies. I got a One Piece channel called Gent Watches One Piece, so go check out all of that stuff if you enjoy my vibe in this video today. But we're jumping in finally to the new season of Oshinoko. And I've been looking forward to this. I do want to give you guys some context because some of you may have forgotten, some of you may not have seen my reactions to the first season. So I'll give you some context on my relationship with Oshinoko because I have read the manga of Oshinoko. I read it back when, not when it came out, but like I didn't read this part of the manga when it came out. But it wasn't that far off. It was, I think the manga was around this point, maybe a little bit further than this when I started reading it. And so I'm not fully caught up on the manga, but I'm very close. Because I fell behind at some point and I haven't picked it back up in a while. But yeah, anyway, I'm mentioning that because obviously I have read these earlier arcs, but I have sincerely forgotten a decent amount of what actually happens in there. All I can tell you is that what this season is covering, I believe, was my favorite part of the manga, I think. But I think that's also just because it is stuff that I sort of I've done theater acting and stuff in the past, and so I think I just connect with that idea more. I just think it's fun and I relate to it, I guess. But yeah, as I said, I don't remember most of the actual events that happened, and season 1 really hit me hard in it hit the great moments of the series so well. And so much so that I forget that I know what happened most of the time because I'm getting drawn in by what I'm watching play out, you know? Generally, I just remember a few major events of the series and some screenshots of panels in my head. But a lot of those screenshots of panels that I remembered were already covered in season 1. I remembered the Akane getting bullied scene. I remembered seeing her on her bed curled up. I remember the Akane getting the sparkle eyes. I remember Ai's death. And those are the main moments, you know? So the fact that we've already covered those, I know there are good moments to come, but I can't remember what most of them are until we get to much more recent episodes, which won't be covered in this season, and that's only because I read them more recently. So yeah, I'm really keen to jump into this. I loved season 1. I loved the way that the voice acting and all the casting choices and the animation choices and the music choices. It was so cool. And yeah, it was a show that really it nailed the really standout moments. So we're going to jump into this. Make sure to support the video if you can, liking, commenting, and subscribing, and go to my Patreon account if you want the full-length reactions, as well as you get early access for certain shows like Cowboy Bebop and One Piece. You get full-length videos for all of these. You get exclusive content. So there's a lot of great stuff over there. Go check it out. But without further ado, let's jump into this. Season 2, Episode 1 of Oshinoko. Is this the play already? Ooh. Oh, that's fucking cool. Cool. This seems hype so far. Are they just supposed to be manga panels from the Tokyo Blade manga? I bet, yeah, they gotta be, right? It's they're showing off how good their casting is. They're here's what the manga panel was, and here's who we cast. Amazing. Princess Saya. Aww. That's pretty. Damn, that was like a OP. It's a cool start to the show and a cool start to Oshinoko season 2. New OP! Oh shit. Oh, this is cool. Oh, that's clever. Oh, this is great. Oh, I love this. Oh, that's sick. The visuals in this are fucking incredible. Oh. Oh. Oh, man, that was a good OP. The visuals were incredible. Jeez, man. Kana. Sakuya Kamoshida.
新生 B 小町のファーストライブから季節は移ろい、何を考えてるのかよくわかりません。あ、そうそう。お兄ちゃんには今可愛い彼女がいます。
She's very cute.
本人曰く仕事だけの恋人だそうです。クズ男、の敵って思います。
Oh, Kana. That frustrated look she gets.
私は今いつか
That was my iPhone background for a while, this picture.
敵として立ちはだかる。今回の劇はこの2チームが戦う渋谷構想編を柱にシナリオが展開する。
That sounds like the
有馬との共演は
Jujutsu Kaisen Shibuya.
かなちゃんと仲いいみたいだもんね。顔合わせの時も一緒に来てたし。
あいつは演技の話になると熱がこもりすぎて怖いからな。
She takes it very seriously.
情熱ないの？
ないよ。
Yeah. He doesn't have much passion for many things.
基本演技は愛の真実に近づくために。
Oh my god.
劇団ララライ代表金田一敏郎。
Toshiro
何らか
Kindaichi.
の影響を与えた可能性のある。そろそろ休憩終わるぞ。
She probably sees that look in your eyes. We know she's good at analyzing him. Oh, that's sick. Just takes a second to like get into the zone.
一つ俺がどんなやつか見てきてやろう。考えなしに戦いを仕掛けようとしないでもらえますか。
Oh my god.
京アマの演技見たときどうなるかと思ったけど、なかなか仕上げてきてるし。
That's good.
赤くん、周りの演技をきれいに受ける適応型。演じ方も対照的。
It's so much to take in.
茜ちゃん、有馬ちゃんも負けないでほしいな。
わからんよ。
Kana takes it seriously though.
姫川がいるからな。
Oh. Oh shit. Oh shit, that's cool. He really stepped into the role. Now she's gonna go all out because he's there. Oh, that's awesome. Cool visuals. Like these two going completely all out and being competitive about it. That's so great. You're having the time of your life, Kana.
この後飯どう？
Damn.
俺も？
That's good. Get to know your castmates. That's great.
前は私を見ろって演技ができる子じゃなかったのに。
Well, but in this case, the main actor demands it, I think. I mean, the other guy brought it out of her by being aggressive himself.
何かしらの刺激が必要だと思ったからだ。どいつもこいつも負けず嫌いだからよ。
稽古場代役、スタンドインを雇うことも少な
Makes
くありま
sense.
せん。夜だけでも参加しようという人も多いです。
That's also true. Actors tend to want to be a part of it
有馬。
a lot of the
ちょっといい
time,
か？
especially if they're in it for the acting.
ここなんて読むんだ？なるほど。
You can't read kanji properly.
演劇の人ってなんで漢字読めない人多いの？もう少し本とか読んだらどう？3
日目ともなると稽古場でグループが出来上がっています。主演グループ、ライグループにちょい役グループ。
It's good for Kana. She's got her own little section
私
where she can kind of be herself.
孤立しちゃっと 親近感。
If you're gonna date Aqua, you have to be used to him sitting alone in the corner and staring at Kana.
あ
ああって一応私
Yeah, you can't just admit that.
に合わせて演技をするくせそのレベルに合わせてくるなら茜有馬に勝ちたいんだろ
Of course she
このま
does.
まじゃ負けるぞ
どんな心配してる場合アクア君だってこのままじゃ
俺は最初から
Yeah, he doesn't really care about putting on a good performance.
全員皆殺しにしてやりなさい。
Pretty good. Did she expect more of a reaction to it though?
今のでいいんだ。
It is difficult. Well, I guess I can talk about it in discussion.
敵役だった剣とのカップリング人気が上昇。
hmm
といわゆる負けヒロインというやつだ。
This is so
原
like
作最新話では
so
竜之介
fandoms.
設定もほとんど死に設定になってる不遇のキャラクター。おとなしくしてるとこういう子に全部持ってかれる。
My
鞘
gosh,
姫
the
の出番が少ない
parallels.
ということは妄想で欠けたピースを保管して自分の中でキャラを作り上げなきゃいけない。
That's a cool visual showing how much of eyes she's put together.
解釈はというか原作とだいぶ違うめちゃくちゃ記号的なキャラに舞台の尺を省略するためにだいぶ戦いに前のめりになっている。
Makes sense that this happens.
クレイジーだよ。原作の先生がこれで OK 出したんだもん。
Yeah.
これでやるしかない。
やっほ来ましたよっと
Sought after scriptwriter.
別件の脚本
Goa?
今日は原作者も来るらしいから挨拶がてらかな
Okay.
ね
でも割と原作に準拠した脚本だと思うぞ
I mean, you're gonna be very focused on. True. You're gonna be very focused on your own character,
気になるところ
Akane.
があるなら
え、多くの人にああだこうだ言われたら。
Well, he can still make the final decisions in the
他
end.
の役者と演技のダメ出しし合うの金田一さんは良しとしてないくらいだし。
I think he'd be open to
ス
discussion.
マッシュヘブンの
黒川が脚本について質問があるみたいなのですが
脚本からだとキャラが少し理解できなくて、この意図というか
This is good to talk about. You want to make a better
原作よりだい
performance.
ぶ好戦的な感じだしね。まあね、そこは僕もかなり悩んだ。
Mm-hmm.
ただ、メディアに変換したとき、できないことはないんだけど、
Often a big thing that they have to realize.
板の上から遠い席のお客に伝えるためには、それなりに長いことが必要になる。
True.
ただでさ、脚本家という職業はいらない。盛り上げるところをしっかり定めて、要素を取捨選択していく。
This is great because this is how writing works.
あんまり手を入れたくないんだけどね。
And yeah, a lot of the time people the writers don't want to get rid of
だ
them.
と思ってるからさ。
作家としてこの判断は間違っていない。だから採用した。
Mm-hmm.
この人物たちの対立を分かりやすく見せる舞台装置としての説得力なんじゃないか。
It's so I love the writing of this show.
わかりやすくか。
Like that scene truly understands how writing works, and I love
スペシャル
it.
ゲストがお越しです。
あ、
Aww.
東
Here's a
京ブライ
mangaka.
ド作者のアビコ先生、吉祥寺先生、お久しぶりです。
Aww. And you two love each other.
またお会いできて嬉しいです。
先生、お久っす。
And you hate him because he sucked in your fucking performance. Aww.
先生、イケメンと美女は目を合わせた。すごいな。私にはできない。
This is cute.
私が言わなきゃ
Uh
ですよ
oh.
ね。
I hate all this. You're doing this wrong.
今からでも直して
Oh.
もらえますか。
Does she have the same concerns as
もちろんですが。
As Akane?
どのあたりを
全部。
Okay, ED time. Ooh. Oh, this is a cool ED. Oh, okay. The animation is great. It's cool. Like it doesn't feel like the sort of song that I think would fit, but it does. Oh, I'm glad this show's back, man. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. There's not a series that captures what the industry is actually like better than Oshinoko does. It is like incredible the things that they sort of pick up and that they realize. Like I've got an alright understanding of like the industry and writing things, writing practices, and as context for those of you who don't know sort of me and my history, it's not much. I have experience with acting in that, like I was going through an acting school, like a outside of school acting school, all throughout my school life, basically, like from years 6 to year 12 or whatever, and then into some of my adulthood. During uni I was doing it for a little bit as well. I used to be with an acting agency. I'm not anymore because I kind of don't have time to do it right now, so I was kind of paying the fee of being in the agency, and I wasn't getting much out of it because I didn't have time. So I'm not part of the acting agency anymore, but they did say if I ever wanted to properly get back into it, I could probably, they could probably let me back in if I just let them know. But so yeah, I've done that. I've done a lot of classes. I've done auditions for some movies and some other like commercials and other things. I have been in a lot of sort of like local student films and short films and lots of stuff like that. So in terms of acting, I at the very least understand acting a little more than the amateur level, just like a tiny bit more. And then in terms of writing, I have done freelance writing for like projects, not like TV or movies or anything, but for different, so for some companies have needed freelance writing for stuff, and I've done freelance writing for them. And I went to uni to study creative writing, and so I have a degree. I have 2 degrees, one in media and one in arts, and my arts one, the major was creative writing and the minor was English. So I've got some experience in all of this. So when I do speak about writing or speak about acting, I'm coming from some sort of a place of experience. But with that being said, I'm not like an industry person. I know some people who are like in the industry, and I've seen sort of what they've gone through and what they've talked about and stuff like that. So I've got like some secondhand experience there as well. But overall, when I'm talking about this stuff, I'm talking partially from my own experience, partially from experience of people I know, and partially from, I'll read interviews or watch interviews or listen to podcasts or whatever about writers and actors and talking about the process and why they did certain things. So I've taken in a lot of information about it because it really interests me. And this episode, like, I loved that scene where Akane approaches them and says, like, isn't the character from the manga a little bit, and then the writer is like, yeah, she's different, isn't she? She's like super different than her manga counterpart or whatever. And then Akane's like, yeah, there. And then they start talking about it. I like that because I think there's a sort of there's a notion a lot of the time, and sometimes this is true, I'm not going to dismiss this, but there's a notion a lot of the time that fans have when they're watching an adaptation that they're like, I understand the character better than the writer of this understood the character, and they ruined this part of the manga for whatever, and like what the fan often doesn't realize is that the writer, a lot of the time, but not all of the time, does understand the character properly and had to choose things to move around and change and stuff. That doesn't always make a bad product, but it's really hard to do. And so because it's really hard to do, a lot of the time you can mess it up and end up making a product that's not very entertaining and also isn't much like the source material, and that's when you have a big problem. Sometimes you'll make it too much like the source material and it's bad because you didn't do what they're doing in this episode, which is trying to rearrange it for the format it's supposed to be. And sometimes it strikes a very nice balance, and then you get things like the One Piece live action adaptation, which I adore. I love the One Piece live action adaptation, and there's a lot of changes in that. There's a lot of characters that they've moved. There's like a big twist in the story that they moved to the live action that doesn't happen until way later in the story, but it serves the purpose of the story that they're doing better. They added in a B story that didn't happen in the manga, but actually like conceivably could have happened, and it worked better for TV in a place where it's better to have an A story and a B story, so you're not just focused on one thing. And it's better for characters not just to like disappear off screen and you don't know why, which you can do in manga and anime, but it's harder to do that in live action for logistics reasons of like trying to keep the actor employed, but also for like audience reasons of we kind of expect to like know what's happening to a character when we don't see them. Like when they say, okay, goodbye, we want to know what's going on with them. So there's a lot of things you've got to take into account, as well as taking into account budget things and all of that. You know, you can't have like, oh, this is a major fight in the manga, but we don't really have the money to do that major fight. So we either do it, but it's a really shitty, boring fight, or we cut it out, which it'll suck that it's cut out, but it's probably like it will serve the thing better, you know? Like, I think the One Piece live action, comparing it to that again, because I think that's a good comparison, was originally an episode or two more, and they also had scheduled out like one of the fights of the manga, the Hachi fight in Arlong Park. They had that planned out, and there was going to be a cool little crazy fight or whatever, but because of the reduced time and some other reasons, they had to get rid of it and they cut it out. And some people were like, where's Hachi in this series? Like, it doesn't make sense why they cut him out, but it does make sense because they needed to get rid of that thing, and it was better to not have him really in there at all than have him in there but then not really serve a purpose in the story, because then the audience is just like, why were we even seeing this guy for as long as we were if he didn't do anything? So yeah, anyway, I really loved that scene of this episode where he's saying that to Akane. He's like, look, I know it makes her character less interesting, less complex, and simpler, but unfortunately, the audience, if we try to tell that story, the audience is just going to be confused and like be having to take in too much. We need to take the parts of the story that are most important and prioritize them for this play, and the other stuff, we have to see how those characters can serve that central narrative. And because of that, you know, we have to get rid of some stuff. And the thing that you always have to remember is the original manga is always there. It always exists. So when there's an adaptation, you don't need everything to be in there. I know a lot of people really want everything to be in there, but you really don't need it. You need to try to make the best story for that medium that you possibly can. And for a play, it's a very different medium than a manga. And what they were saying in this as well with Akane's performance, and I really liked that they showed the side-by-side of it, is her first performance was arguably better, right, for the character, in that it is a more subtle take on her emotions, and it was reserved and it fit her character better. But they asked her for more intensity because she's doing a theater performance, firstly, which Akane knows that. Akane's a theater performer, so I don't want to like pretend that Akane doesn't know what a theater performance should look like. And like I've been someone who I've done both theater and film acting, and they are very different. But she knows the difference there. But she was doing a theater performance, but a subtler theater performance that was portraying to the people like, here is the complexity of this character's emotions. But that's not what the scene needed, or at least from the director's point of view, what he thinks it needed was, here is the I guess villainous character that is that is enjoying the thrill of this battle. And so it's a very different type of character, but you need to portray that to the audience. And if they see this conflicted character, they're like, hang on, is she actually a good guy? And then they try to like take that in, but then they're not like getting the weight of the proper scene, because they're not going to have the time to actually dive into why she gave that reserved reaction. So it will actually just feel out of place and like the actress did a bad job. So the director's actually trying to make Akane look good, but ironically by telling her to give a slightly worse performance, like or a less nuanced performance rather. But yeah, film acting and theater acting is very different as well. Like the emotions that you have to show, you have to show them so much more subtly in film, otherwise it looks really weird, and you have to show them so much larger than life in theater, or else it looks like you're not showing any emotion at all. I remember, because I did mostly theater when I was growing up, just because there's not really, when you're a high school kid, you're not going to have any chances really to be on camera. But there are like musicals and theater performances that you do in school and stuff. So I was kind of trained for stage acting. And then at some point, when I became part of my agency, I did a class that they sort of do when they get new people into the agency to sort of give them a rundown of how things work, and then also to see what their acting capabilities are. And I was doing it, and like they gave me a piece to act, and I did it. And then she, like the woman who was running the course, one of my agents, said to me, "You're projecting your voice." And I went, "Yeah." Like that's like to me that was a tenet of acting. That's something I trained in, projecting my voice. And she was like, "You're projecting your voice." And I went, "Yeah." And she went, "Don't do that." I went, "Huh?" And she goes like, we're doing film acting here. The cameras, the sound people, it's their job to make sure you're picked up. Don't worry about if we hear you. You just do the performance that like you just play it realistically. Your character doesn't need volume here. Why would they be giving volume? So don't do it. Don't give volume. And I was like, holy shit. And like, because it made sense. I knew that in my heart, in my head, but when I went to performing it, every time I acted, I was used to speaking with some sort of volume. I mean, I do it for these videos, you know. I'm always utilizing my voice in a way that gives volume. But then like when you talk normally, I guess you talk sort of like this, I guess. And so like this is how some people talk. And this is how most people talk when they're talking to another person day to day. But I'm not projecting my voice at all, you know, I'm just kind of doing it lazily, and sometimes I'm just letting it come out at whatever volume it is. But this isn't good for theater, what I'm doing right now. This is good for film acting. If I was doing film acting, this would be perfect. But for theater, you talk like this, which is, it's the same kind of basic tone. I'm still using the same expressions on my face really, but I'm speaking from a different place in my chest, and that projects more volume. And if I was in a theater, then the people in the back could properly hear me. And so there's a lot of stuff that goes into it, and Akane, obviously we know she's incredible at theater, so she's gonna nail it. But she was still trying to do a complex, subtle character when they wanted something less nuanced and more energetic. But yeah, I do think it's really interesting, like when you have a character like Akane who really loves this character. She knows and loves this character very well. And you have her playing the role, and she cares about the role and she understands the complexities of it, but you have her playing a worse version of the character. So even though she's perfect for the role, people are gonna like most likely watch that performance and go, "Oh, she wasn't quite right for it because she wasn't portraying the complexities. She just played it like it was a battle crazed woman or whatever." But that's not because of her. It reminds me a lot of like Ryan Reynolds with Deadpool. Like, regardless of if you like Deadpool or not, I think most people can agree he's the right choice for Deadpool. Like, in terms of if you look at the comic book character of Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds is playing pretty much exactly the comic book character of Deadpool. And so like he's right for the part of Deadpool. But if you watch X-Men Origins Wolverine, that's Ryan Reynolds playing Deadpool, and you'd be like, this character sucks. This is a shitty character. Like, I remember watching that movie and going, what did they do to Deadpool? Like, he doesn't have a mouth. Like, he's not talking. That's like the whole thing with Deadpool, is he talks too much. And I remember being so like upset and disappointed by that. And it wasn't Ryan Reynolds' fault. Ryan Reynolds was the perfect fit for him. But the version of the character they got him to play was nothing like Deadpool. But we now see from his involvement with the future Deadpool movies that he truly does understand and love that character. Oh my gosh, I'm hiccuping. He does understand and love that character very closely, and he lives and breathes that character. It was just that one adaptation of the character that wasn't quite right. And they had their own plans. You know, if they made Deadpool as he properly was, it probably wouldn't fit in that movie, right? But that was a terrible movie anyway, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, so I always find it really interesting when the actor is perfect and the actor is right, but it's the source material or the writing or just the character being in whatever setting they've set up that doesn't quite work. By the way, the OP, all of its visuals and stuff was so good. I mean, like, also me having some context from the manga, like knowing where some of these characters are coming from and what they're doing and why they're in the thing, makes it even better. But there was some great visuals, and there was also a few characters that were shown in there that I didn't even realize were this early in the story. So I'm really excited to see how they play into it. I'm also having that thing that I have sometimes when I'm reading manga, which is I did not imagine the character's hair color to be that. Like, for example, for this, right? I didn't think this was blue hair. I think I thought this was blonde hair. But like, that is kind of blowing my mind. And I think I thought this was blue hair. So like, there's several times in this show where I'm watching a character and I go, oh, that's not how I thought. Like, that's not how I thought they were colored, you know. But it's great still. I like seeing it like that because it wakes me up. It makes me like pay attention and go like, oh, okay, I didn't know this story properly. And man, I also liked in this episode, I know this is a long discussion, but like Oshinoko hits points that I sort of know about and have a lot of opinions about, so I talk about it a lot. And I hope if you're still around for this discussion, amazing. Let me know in the comments that you like the discussion if you're sticking around this long. And the other thing was I like the Kana and Himekawa stuff in this episode because like Kana, she matches the energy of people around her and she supports them, right? And so because of that, she's often not doing a very good performance or not a very interesting performance, even though she's an incredible actress. And I like that Himekawa is like, hey, don't fucking hold back. I'm just gonna give it my all. I'm gonna go fucking wild. And in fact, if Kana was doing a low-key performance, it would feel out of place and it wouldn't support him. So, like, Himekawa is actually bringing out the absolute best in her by giving it his all. And so they can both, like, go with this crazy amount of energy. And then I like that they kind of just adopt Melt into their group as well, which I think is kind of cute. That they're just like, hey, we're in a lot of scenes together, come and hang out with us. But I like that little grouping of those three because it seems like they're getting along, and also like Kana gets to be sort of the instructor of the group. Like, she gets to explain things to them, explain how kanji works. And she just gets to be herself, it seems like, which I think is really nice, especially since we've seen a lot of Kana just like sitting there watching Aqua and Akane, and it's like, that's very sad, just seeing her sitting there watch that. But now she's getting to dive into her acting and she's in her element, and so it's much more comfortable for her. Yeah, it's really great. It's great to see that stuff. Man, this is gonna be a good season. I can feel it. And my throat is already hurting from the amount of discussion that I've done in this episode. So I'm going to wrap it up there. But thank you so much for joining me for Oshinoko Season 2, Episode 1. Make sure to support the video if you liked it. If you stuck around for this long, I hope you did. Like the video, comment down below, subscribe to the channel. Go check out some of my other reactions. If you haven't seen my Oshinoko Season 1 reactions, now is a good time to go and check all of them out. And go to my Patreon account if you want the full-length reaction, early access, exclusive videos. I got a Gent Watches One Piece channel. If you like One Piece, go check that out as well. But thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.